And welcome once again to the Transform Your Relationship Show. I'm Laura Rubinstein here with the awesome and wonderful Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta.
Hello, Laura, and hello, everybody. We're going to talk about something that hits every one of us all day long. So, we're going to talk about decision making today, and you have decisions to make and decisions to refer to. So, we're going to have a great talk.
We are, because I know there's a lot of fear that comes up around decision making. There's a lot of rash decisions that go on. There are shiny objects that come across. And then there's also those of us that put off making decisions. So we're going to talk about all of that. So where can we start? Let's see. How about the act and process of decision making? What does that involve?
Whoa, that's huge. Let's take a little
Start
bit about
big.
it. How do you feel when it comes time to make a decision? Maybe something's thrust in front of you. You need a new car. Am I going to go to college? Should I, whatever your age and stage is, something gets thrust in front of you. How do you respond to that? Is it like, oh, no, 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 no? Or is it, oh, that's exciting. Let me figure that out. Because people approach it differently, don't they?
They do. And some of us have a lot more fear than others in that decision making process. But I think it usually runs one of two ways. We feel something and we make the decision out of the feeling, or we think something and then we justify it. We feel something, then we justify it, or we think something, we have to make it, we do very logical, and then we bring our emotions into play, or we discount our emotions sometimes. So it's this thinking, feeling process that goes on between the head and the gut or the heart, or however you want to approach that.
Hmm. Well, absolutely. I mean, we can use an example. I bought a car this weekend. I've been looking at cars for 6 days, and I got in cars that were really good deals. All the numbers worked really well. That made me feel like I was smothering in a coffin when I sat in them, right? So it's that kind of thing. Like, could I be happy driving in this energetically? And then how do I balance that with the good, smart, wise thing to do? And how do I get the best combination of both? So that I think that would be a good example, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are some people that get shiny objects into, oh, my neighbor just got a car and I want that, or the latest and greatest electric vehicle came out. I have to have the truck or whatever. And is it the right thing? Do you need a car? Is it the right timing for this car?
Yeah.
Does the budget hold true? So where do we balance the practical versus the emotional and
Well,
the best thing for you?
yeah. Well, I had a moment of that. Like, I went to the Mercedes dealer and I got a screaming deal on a 2016 Mercedes C-Class with a, what did it have? Oh, it had 74,000 miles on it. So I'm sitting in it and my head is going, "I've always wanted a Mercedes." And then I'm sitting in it and I'm going, "And it's really fancy and it does all these things." And I feel like I'm in a box. I do not like how I feel in this car. So am I going to have that Mercedes, or am I going to have something that I want to drive? Not because other people will look at it and say, "Oh," but that I'm comfortable in.
Right. And yeah, it's so tempting though, isn't it? It's
Oh,
like,
it was. It was very tempting. And of course, the guy is sitting there saying, "This is the most beautiful, best constructed, safest car you'll ever own, blah, 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 blah." And I'm going, "Yes, I believe all of that." And I'm not happy. You know, it was a screaming deal on top of it. Like, I could have been out the door in that car for $25,000, but it was a
mm,
2016, not a hybrid, and I was really buying it for the wrong reason, or
yeah,
thinking of buying it for the wrong reason, and the guy was super pushy. So that was a gut check, right?
yeah,
Of course, first thing Saturday morning, You can be the one who buys this car. Woo-hoo! So someone else can also inform our decision making like that. We also have to be aware of that in the decision making process. How many cooks are in the broth making this decision,
Yeah.
right?
Whose voice is there, right? Identifying the voice. So if we take a step back, and say, whoa, who is making this decision? What's really important about the end result, right? You talk about that a lot when we think about negotiating. But what is the
Right.
end result we want for ourselves? This is a self negotiation, really, if you think about it. So if I want a car that feels good to be in, that I like, that has certain budget, has certain miles on it, has certain mileage, hybrid or whatever, electric. Um, and then you have all these other voices, but mama says, or but the neighbor will, la, la, la.
Mhm.
Um, you have to learn. How do you learn how to balance them?
Well, the bottom line for me, and I do this with all my clients that need it, is to say, what are your values? What is it you value in life? To use an example from my car buying, do I value prestige and I have a Mercedes, or do I value comfort and the fact it's a hybrid, right? What are my values? How does that work out? And I think if you can know what's truly important to you overall for your living without regrets, which is what I think knowing your values are, then you have a really steady base. So someone else may have an opinion. Like, to keep the metaphor going, I also went online and listened to YouTube videos from a guy who is a hybrid Toyota technician tell me all the pros and cons of it. Now, there's a voice that I believed. He doesn't work for them anymore, right? Um, but if someone else is saying, well, you should do it because I have one and I like it, how do you weigh those two things together? The opinion versus the expert, right?
Right.
So these decision-making business can be crazy making. So if you're going through it, just know it's a journey. Don't be concerned that it's crazy making. But also, Laura, some decisions need to be made in a timely manner, and some decisions can have more latitude. And so let's not get into that cousin of the bright, shiny object syndrome, which is procrastination, you
Ah, yes.
know? Right. Like, "Oh, I don't want to. I can't think it through. There's too many variables, so I'll put it off till next week." Well, what are the pros and cons of doing that?
I love the idea of really taking a step back, but not procrastinating. And I think that's what you did when you bought your car. You're like, you said it was 6 days. That could seem pretty shiny object, rash decision making. But then you said, I went here, I watched videos there. You didn't just let it sit and brew in your mind. You actually evaluated from a value set. You said it
Mhm.
has mileage, it has savings, it'll cost of operating expenses, and if you value your budget, then that's important, right? So
Mhm.
it's it can be done quickly without being rash, is what I'm getting taking away from today, and it doesn't have to even be quick.
Well, the thing was, to throw something else in the mix, that I set aside time to deal with that. I
Mhm.
didn't just say, "Oh, I think I'll buy a car today." I decided, all right, the week or 2 before, I realized I was choosing to buy a new car.
Right.
So I started doing a bit of research. Then I set it on 6 days to start seeing cars, evaluating, checking different dealers, doing all of that. And then I made the decision in the 6-day window, and I felt like I had given the right amount of thought to this decision.
And how did you know what the right amount was?
Well, you start to learn. Well, I did anyway. I mean, first of all, I thought I wanted something and it was really important to me. So I was focusing on it has to have that. Then when I went and saw that, I thought that's not as important to me as this. So I started refining. So it was a decision making tree. In the end, I wasn't willing to give up leather seats. because I just find that they're more comfortable for long distance driving. I found I wasn't willing to give up the sunroof because I really am affected by allowing light in the entire interior. I thought I would never have a black interior on a car because we live in San Diego and it's hot. Turned out the black interior made no difference. That's what air conditioning is for. But I got the leather seats and the sunroof, right? So you start that decision-making tree, and then you come to the one that says, yes, this is what I'm not willing to do without, and this is what's optional. See how much I can get of the optional. So as it turned out, by going 90 miles away, I was able to get exactly what I wanted, with the exception of it has a black interior.
Yay!
Yeah.
I have an interesting example, and the way I learned to make a decision, a very big decision in my life of where to go to college. And my father actually helped me with this. He called it General Patton's decision making process or something. And I don't know why, and I don't know if it's real, but um, he said, let's make a chart and let's put down all the criteria, kind of like you had all your criteria, the location, the type of school it is, the things you like, things you don't like, whatever. And then put a weight on each, like 0 to 10 or zero. Maybe this one, maybe that it has a huge college campus is not, not as important to me. It's not my values. Like, so you're putting all the things that match your values in here, and how valuable is it? Like, I don't care if it's a big or small campus. So maybe it's on a scale of 0 to 5, but something more like small class sizes, and maybe those are two diametrically opposed things, but um, is more important, or having good food in the cafeteria, or having close to home or farther away from home, or in a warm climate, or, those are more important. So those might be on a scale of 0 to 10. And then you go through each of the schools and you rank them on the scale that it is, and then you add it up. And what's interesting about that process is you get kind of um, I don't know, you get a number that may or may not be a biased or unbiased, but you get, based upon what you think is important. And then you look and you say, oh, I'm supposed to go to this school, but I really want to go to that. And then you kind of really
Yeah.
know what you
Yeah.
want. You don't have to follow the number if it doesn't match what you're really feeling, but at least you went through that process to see, or you say, you know what, that really is the right choice for me, because you're right. It does have this, it does have this, it does have this. And the other place didn't. And I just fell in love with the dorms because they're pretty or something, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so there, your values and your feelings interceded in the logistics and the rational things that you would have said, here are the criteria.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, but that's the decision-making tree sort of
yeah.
sister system,
Yeah.
is what's important to me. And you don't know that really in a refined way until you jump into the process. You do the best you can, like your chart, and then you start realizing, oh no, that really isn't as important as that other
Right.
thing is. And so that's why a system, not something fancy, you don't all need a spreadsheet, but some kind of
Or a
thoughtful,
spreadsheet. If you're a
this,
spreadsheet kind of gal.
yeah, yeah, I'm just saying, for those people who, go cross-eyed at spreadsheets, it can be something just quite simple on paper to say, what do I want? What do I not want? And then rank the things that are in the want list in priority order, and then start there. But don't put off decision making because it's hard. Don't put off decision making because you're afraid of making the wrong decision. If we want to go back to General Patton and people like that, I think he said, make a good decision, and the best decision you can with the information you have at the moment. And if you need to change your mind, you will.
I think that's a really good pressure reliever statement, because you tell people, you tell yourself that you're not getting married to this decision. It's not a forever thing. It's not super glue bonded, right? You can always make another decision next.
Yeah. And so going back to my car shopping, on the drive home in the last 3 miles, in the evening when it's dark, I hear this horrible bang, 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 bang. and I don't know what's going on, so I drive home. The next morning, I have a good look. The tire blew out, and it was riding on the rim, and I wanted to break up with that car for a few minutes, I'll tell you. I wanted a divorce,
Nobody
right?
wants to have a blowout when you haven't had one in 16 years with your other car, blah, 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 right?
Exactly, that's exactly the truth. I never had. So I didn't even know what that noise was. I'd never heard that noise before. But the thing was then the emotions took over. Did they sell me a bad car? Did they know that it was going to blah, all that stuff? And then it was they should pay for this because I just paid all this money. And I went through a range of emotions. And then I finally realized any car can lose a tire at any moment. Doesn't matter if you just got it or whatever. So now this is your car. Take your baby to the dealer and get it fixed. But there were emotions involved with it, knee-jerk kind of emotions. Like I just gave them all that money and now I have to give somebody some more, right? But that's not written in stone. Like you don't have to look at it as this must be a bad car. It was just something that
Or a bad
happened.
decision, or right.
No, but we tend to generalize someday. Oh, there, see, I did all that thinking and did all of that. And what I end up with? Having to spend money on getting my tire fixed, my brand new tire fixed, and having the rim checked that I didn't ruin it. Well, I could have done that 2 months from now, to actually, okay, let's be rational about it. The feeling's over. Let's be rational about it. And then proceed. Because I actually did make a very good buy. It was a very good thing to do, and this random thing occurred. But we
And you
tend
were
to be
safe and you got a new tire and now you're even safer.
well, I don't have the new tire yet because that particular system, you have to schedule quite a bit ahead, so I don't get a new tire till Friday. But at any rate,
In time.
the point is that in the decision-making process, if you have uncertainty in your life, that you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your gut. You don't trust your ability. You have some self talk that says, oh, decisions are hard and I don't make good decisions and I've got to do it by consensus. I'll bring up my 10 best friends and see what they think about it. Then we have another thing that we are really wise to do, which is to work on ourselves to realize that we can do these things. We can trust ourselves. Yes, I got advice from YouTube and a friend or two, but I was still the decision maker, right? I didn't leave the decision up to someone else, and I didn't run away from the decision because to me, 6 days I did not take 6 days off, but 6 days, chunks of time on 6 days was what I was willing to give to it. So trusting your gut, trusting yourself to make a good decision. And if you don't make a good decision, trust yourself to make a better one and get yourself out of the pickle you're in. But if you don't trust yourself at all, there is the first place to work on if you're having trouble making decisions.
Yeah. And what I got out of today, and what I know to be true for myself, is values. Know your values so you can make decisions from them. If you don't know where to start, back up and say what's important. What's
Mhm.
important in my life? What's important to me? And start like having to think about it, having to write
Yeah,
about it. Do some
absolutely.
do some connecting to it, really embody it, because if you're not, you're going to be in this frenetic energy of I got to call my friends like you said, or I can't make a decision because it might be wrong. But if you know what's important to you, what the value is, then you can start using some of those systems we talked about, the decision making tree or the chart, and you can write it down. Sometimes you just need to write it on paper, and it could be as simple as writing out the pros and cons,
Mhm.
the pros of this decision, yes or no, and the cons of yes and no. And then again, you can sit with what's important, and then you ask yourself, given what's important, which one is going to serve that
Yeah.
best?
Exactly. There's a way to do things and just do it in a little better informed way and you will be really pleased with the development that you're creating that will put you at ease to make the next decision.
Yes. So I feel better about decision making after this conversation, Roberta. I hope you do too. And
Well, yes, I feel very good about the decision making because I've just been through it. The car is wonderful, beautiful, and
no
reliable.
buyer's remorse. Well, even though you had a moment of buyer's
I
remorse,
did. Of
and it's
course,
normal. It's normal to have buyer's remorse.
sure. Did I make the right decision? Did I go all that way? Because a friend drove me up there. What if it's the wrong decision? I've got 5 days to take it back. Who's gonna drive me all the way up there again? Right? But no, I mean, the overall decision was great. There was a little hiccup, but yes, emotion came up first, and then, "Let me think about this."
Yeah. And
So
buyer's
good luck
remorse.
with the decision making,
Yes.
everybody.
Yes. Good luck with it. You know you've got this. Build your self trust, know your values, use a decision making pros, cons, decision making tree or chart. And yeah, and we're always here, coming back with you every couple of weeks to transform your relationships with yourself, others, and empower that decision making process as in today.
Yes, and you can do it. So if you're putting off making a decision, maybe listen to this again and then apply what we've suggested, and good luck with it.
All right. Thanks, Roberta.
Thanks, Laura. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.